This is Lauren.
This is Trey.
And this
is the Partnership Podcast. Lauren and I just spent so much time together because we were traveling, and we talked about how we kept our energies positive toward each other by asking each other what we wanted. Because when we care for ourselves, it sets our partners free. I made that up. Enjoy. I do too. I totally do too.
Long time no see.
We've been at each other's hips for like
days. We usually have so much more separate time in the city than we did this time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like usually there's so much apart time, and this time was not that.
And then usually it's like we gotta kind of get the hell away from each other for a little bit. I haven't felt that. Yeah, we sat together like
theories. Why?
Days. We're hips because it's
like touchy. And
then like traveling, we just got back from New York City. So traveling, like you're in the Uber together, you're on the train together, like you're on an 8-hour Amtrak together. You get home, you sleep together, but we're all over each other. So I think it's I think it speaks to our codependence upon each other,
or our co-regulation, one or the other.
Yeah, one or the other. Yeah.
Hi, baby.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. And also good morning to you.
To you, gentle audience.
Friends of the Partnership Podcast.
We're glad you're here.
It's us.
Don't you think that I didn't see how all of you watched our conflict episode and then half of you watched how we came back together? What is it? What is it with you? What is it with you loving to see our mess? Mm-hmm. We see you.
Yeah.
We see you. No, just kidding. We love you all. Welcome. Welcome back. Yeah, okay, let's jump right into that. Why do you think it is that
people like a car crash?
Nope. That we spent more time together and that we're still all over each other, because there have been times where we spent that much time together before that you would have gotten home and you would have been, babe, we cannot podcast this morning. I need to get out.
Oh yeah.
I need to get away from you, space from you.
I think it has a lot to do with the guardrails that we've put up regarding how I serve you and then serve myself. And how I serve you, like I basically now have to kind of ask permission versus anticipate needs, where I'm not a waiter and I'm not a really good operations director for my wife, Lauren. Those are not my jobs. Those are not my default jobs. And I've been defaulting into that for a very long time because I'm good at those things. Mm-hmm. And they're superpowers of mine. Being able to run logistics and anticipate needs is a superpower. But if it's not asked for, I can tally up. It becomes, I go to bitter when I outproduce too much. And then my job now is to like, hey, ask. Yeah. Just ask. And guess what? A byproduct of that is I have more energy for everything else. Mm-hmm. So the guardrails that we've installed, I think so far they've been really beneficial. What's it been, 2 weeks since we put in the ask to be invited in or ask for permission to serve. Mm-hmm. And then the other one is our check-in, our daily ouch check-in every night. Did I cause you any ouch moments throughout the day? Yeah.
Watching it in real time on this trip was fascinating. I think what a gift, because so often folks will go to like a joint therapy session, joint coaching session, and then just go back and live their lives, which is amazing. But we had this like weird experience of getting our incredible coaching Tuesday of last week, recording our pod on Wednesday, being in the Amtrak to New York City on Friday, and together with each other in like a laboratory as a science experiment for 5 days. And I think anyone who has a partner and who has traveled with a partner knows that it can either be great or it can be disastrous, because there's not many places to run away to, and you're exhausted. There's more logistics to run. You're in each other's space. Yeah. And I got to see you in real time, do check-ins, advocate for yourself, ask permission before so many things. It was wild. It was wild. The biggest day was the day where the day before we left, where it was kind of our only opportunity without a ton of commitments to go from Queens, where we were staying, into Manhattan and just kind of be there and be accessible to the folks that we hadn't gotten to see that were going to kind of be all in the same area.
And our only obligation, our only obligation was a 7:00 Broadway show.
And so we were talking about at 8 something in the morning, maybe 6 something in the morning, because we kept getting up at our normal times.
It was a time change,
we would stay
too.
up late. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically getting ourselves ready to spend the whole day in the city. And when I first brought that up, hey, I'm thinking slow meander into the city, stay there all day, not try to traverse back and forth and go to the show, go out with our friends after, come back basically at midnight. That sounded good to me. What do you think? What first happened in your body?
Oh, it was because like what you just said, slow meandering in Manhattan doesn't exist in my mind, where I don't know how that city works. It's odd where this is my 10th, 15th time I've been in the city in my lifetime. But now more than ever, where it was like, holy shit, this is wildly abrasive at times to my nervous system. Yes. Holy shit, I don't know how people operate here. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's a lot of health and ease in that city. I don't know if that's I think the byproduct is the opposite of the noise, of the people, of the the filth, the pure filth of beautiful Manhattan. So it was dysregulating to my system. So as soon as you said let's go there, also it was a change of plans, because the original plan was we go to Broadway, we'll dress up, I'll put a suit on. And when I think of that, I think of getting a car into the city, going to Broadway, and then going back. So I had to actually check in with self, where I was like, okay, how does this work if I stay in the city for 10 hours? Because this time we were there for 3 or 4 days, I would hit the eject button where I just get in an Uber. Mm-hmm. And luckily at certain times it's $30 to get back to Queens from an Uber. And so I had to kind of do a little mental thing. It's okay, so I'm not going to wear a suit. Or it's I don't want to wear a suit for 10 hours, 12 hours in the city. That's not going to happen. So how would you feel if you just wore jeans and something comfy? Would you feel comfortable doing that on Broadway? And I go, well, yeah, I'd feel comfortable doing that on Broadway. And it's would you feel comfortable being in the city for 8 to 10 hours? It's I'd probably need to sit down or hide in certain places. Do you see yourself doing that? And I go, okay, yeah, there's ways to do that. And then the big one for me is could you hit the eject button at any time, meaning get in an Uber, get the fuck out of there and come back to the hotel room whenever you want to? And could you even do it where it's I can't see the show, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And then it's because my sweet baby would support me in doing so, where I wouldn't be criticized, I wouldn't disappoint her, I wouldn't disappoint other people if I needed to just take care of self and go. So yeah, we had our revised plan, and we did it together in the hotel room. And having that guardrail of being able to leave. And also, this needs to be said too, where this time more than any other time within the city, I didn't worry about you, where you are a completely capable, strong, independent lady who can navigate around the city. You are not like a delicate flower in that city. That's your city more than it is mine. And I never even worried about you being independent like I have in the past. And this time it was so much more significant, where it's she's fine.
This is so good. We talk often about the process of communication and there being a negotiation process within communication, wherein two individuals in partnership maintain agency so that they can negotiate an arrangement that works best for them. So it was beautiful to me that when I brought up, hey, how would you feel if, right? I'm looking at this day, I'm thinking about the things that I'd love to do. It's seeming a lot less taxing to my nervous system to just stay in a neighborhood in Manhattan than come back and forth and back and forth. Travel sounds exhausting to me. How would you feel about this? For then me to be able to trust more than ever that you were truly going to take a beat and consider how that felt in your body. You literally, there was this moment where I think you were sitting on the edge of the tub or something. Your head was in your hands, and I could see that you were just like processing, right? If I do wear a baseball cap, am I going to feel comfortable in my body? Am I going to feel drained? I could see you do, because you are a different human being and you have a right to self-determination. It is not about just being like, oh yeah, I want to make our dreams come true, right? Because that then indicates that I'm incapable of making my own dreams come true, right? And I love what you said about this time more than ever. You were like, she'll be fine. If I need to hit the eject button, she can navigate. Yeah, right? And you say it's funny, when I come up by myself to the city, you don't worry about it in the same way. It's almost like when you're with me, that it's always been harder in the past.
In the past, yeah.
In the past, not this time.
And now I just trust it.
Yeah. So it was so beautiful.
Also, it's safe. People say it's a dangerous fucking city, and I understand that, but like for the most part, it's safe.
Yeah.
People kind of mind their own business.
And then people are also mindful for one another. There's this, it does have community aspects to it in really beautiful ways. When you went inside your body and then said back to me, okay, I want to talk through some of these things with you. Is it okay, right? This was where you negotiated. You said, is it good if we do this plan, and then if at any point I'm feeling taxed, I hit the eject button? I said, absolutely. That feels so good to me because that feels like you're in control of yourself. That was number one. Number two, you said, can you be the day of coordinator? Can you lead today? And I will just follow. I will just like kind of sink in. You can plan where we go when. You can check in with me. Do you prefer car or train? But can you lead the logistics of us getting places so I don't have to worry about that? I said 100%. I love that. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else. If we need to go our separate ways, if, you even need to miss the show, because the show was the very last thing. And that was in order to support our best friend, Jay. And I think it probably in the back of your mind too, you were thinking that's the most important thing. Why would we be most tired? But anyway, you said like, can I do that? Mm-hmm. I said, yep, all of those things. And that felt so good in my body, because then I was like, okay, I have a task to do, which is do the thing that I love the most, which is get myself around the city. And yeah, then it even became such as really wanted to give you an experience that I love so much, which is taking the East River Ferry, which is just beautiful. And
it was so fun.
Incredible view of Manhattan. But I know that overstimulation and loud noise and wind could be bad for you. So we even negotiated that. I said, hey, my favorite space to sit is up top, where you're outside, you're in the sun, you see the city, but it is warm and cozy on the inside. So if we want to move down to the bottom, we can. And yeah, how was the ferry ride for you? Because I loved it. Yeah.
Loved it. It was one of the highlights of the trip. Uh-huh. It was great. And then I loved our walk. Mm-hmm. And then I loved the subway. Mm-hmm. And then we pop up. It's so cool where you just pop up in places in the city. And I love that you navigated. How was because I don't think we had any missteps, or we didn't get confused on anything, but how was me being a good follower? How did I do with that when it came to that?
Really well. Really well. Which I was curious, like, why it was going so well. So I'm curious for what you were doing differently. You were such a good follower in that even after we left our favorite brunch spot, shout out Joseph Leonard, where we love, we took a walk over to Washington Square Park, which is kind of the same steps that we walked on our elopement day. And I could tell you felt free in your following, because you would say, can we go down that street? Or can we go down this corner? Or can we walk on this one? And it was just beautiful. I could tell that my leadership, my day of coordination, had not become bitchy. Like, I could tell you still felt you had a voice. And that was beautiful to me.
You don't become bitchy to me ever. I become bitchy. In this relationship, honey, in this partnership, I'm the bitchy one.
I would have to agree with you.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
I'd have to say.
What's that supposed to mean?
No, in the fact, you're doing so much better. Yeah, you were fantastic. Do you have any idea why?
I trusted the leadership. And then I trusted the plan. I had a really solid, well thought out plan of how I take care of me, which in turn takes care of you. So the plan, the whole goal wasn't how do we take care of Lauren and sacrifice? Because that's kind of where I go to. I'm a really good waiter.
Right.
I'm a good little boy. So, the pre-plan was lovely, and it saved a lot of stress.
And I loved, we checked in kind of at every place, right? We'd get to one place and I'd say, hey, are you good? You know, we have this much time remaining. Are you good if we walk to a spot? You know, but we can turn down any corner. I'll just keep us relatively going.
That's right, because the other thing we had was a 3:00 friend visit with one of your friends. So we did, that was the other thing that was scheduled. Everything else was kind of on the fly.
And so I knew I wanted to be in Gramercy around 3, which I knew I had a favorite cafe in Gramercy. You know, like I have favorite little nooks in every neighborhood in the city. And so to me, it's so fun to get to do some wandering, knowing I have a soft place to land at some point. Like, yeah.
The time that my battery started to get drained, where I was like, oof, it was after brunch. And then it was while we were walking, because we walked for maybe, an hour or something like that. And then I just, this is how I am. I get so overstimulated by loud noises. And Manhattan, New York City is the city of loud noises. So that does drain my battery really quickly. It's not the walking. I love to walk, but it's that. And I think it's constantly always being aware of when you cross a street, you can get hit with a car or an e-bike. Which is, it's not as stressful, but it's the loud noises. So one of the guardrails that I installed this time is 100% of the time I had earplugs. Like professional grade earplugs, the foam ones that you roll up and you stick in your ears and you can't hear shit. I didn't need to use them, but that's always something that I have. So I started to get tired, but you said, hey, let's duck into this restaurant. Let's like take a breather. It was a beautiful restaurant, lovely ambiance. The service was great. Nobody was in there. They were really sweet to us. And we stayed in that restaurant for like 2 hours. And then did you pivot where it's like, hey, friend, come meet us here?
I said to friend, like, come meet us here. This is where I am. I can come to you.
Or you can come to
Or
me.
you can come to me.
And then you two went and sat at a different table. And I sat there for like another hour and, fucked around on my phone.
Yeah.
Luckily, there was like a 6-top of like these lovely, I think they were sisters or family members. And then they brought like a baby in, like a 3-year-old. And so we got to but I got to charge my batteries.
Yep.
And I just got to sit and be still. And it's one of the ways that I'm learning that I can charge my batteries, to sit and be still, or to do the things that I really want to do.
100%.
In that situation, sex and golf weren't on the table. So sitting and being still in a restaurant was a great third option. And okay, what happened next?
I want to circle back on that, though. Doing something that you want to do is really necessary in a day like that. Recharging batteries, so necessary.
Football, watching condensed versions of the NFL
and
wasn't an option as well.
But you had been getting football time like in our hotel and stuff like that this week, and I'm just so glad. And we need to make sure that's built into, trips of travel that we do in other ways too.
Yeah, those are the 3 things I really like to do, and hanging out with the boys, shout out with the boys.
But what are some micro ways, right, that you can take care of you, recharge your battery in the midst of hustle and bustle? Because let's be honest, we can't always do the things that we love the very most, but we still need to take care of ourselves. I call them pleasure hacks sometimes, right? I'll teach my clients to take a comb or an alligator clip, which is the thing we hold in our hair, and put it in the palm of their hand so that the pressure points are being activated here. I'll teach clients to like stroke their inner arm right here in the middle of a stressful board meeting when they want to come back to their bodies, where they want to say, I need to take care of me right now. And you know what our coach said the other day? She talked about tokens. Like, hey, I can't take care of you right now, but I will be. So that would be an interesting way for us to think about this. What are some ways that you can tell your body? I can tell my body, this is one of them. Of, hey, I hear you. We are getting overstimulated. We are tired. This is not a time and place that I can give you rest right now or rejuvenation, but this is when it's coming, right? Even after our long day, we got home, we got in the bathtub. Do you remember this? Yeah. Oh, yeah. We knew that rest would be coming. We knew the next morning we could sleep in, right? We knew that rest was coming. And in our lives, especially in American culture, there's a lot of go, go, go. And it's not always plausible to go to the golf course, to have sex, to rejuvenate ourselves in the way that we want to. And I was so proud of you for finding stillness, for recharging your battery in an alternate way, like in a temporary way. It's really cool to watch. I could feel it behind me.
Cool.
That's the other thing, and we've talked about this so much since the blow up. And this is what I want all partnerships to understand, is that it's one thing to say it's not your job to fix it, okay? It's another thing to make our partners exist in spaces in which we are not okay, and they're just having to be around our mad self, our messed up energy, our frustration, our blah. We've talked about it dysregulates my nervous system. And it's okay when I can go away from you. But when we can't, it's like being stuck with someone, especially we're both empaths. We found this out, right? Being stuck with someone who I can feel is drained. And so it's like trying to put up these walls in my body. And it's like, don't pour into him. Don't pour into him. So
or
behind
don't get drained
me,
yourself. Yeah.
My back was to you when I was reconnecting with my friend. You're at a booth behind me. I could literally feel, it's like you're plugged into the wall, your battery recharging.
Yeah.
I could literally feel it. And it's the coolest thing. We could call me crazy, or we could say, no, she's really intuitive. And so thank you. The beautiful thing is when we care for ourselves, it sets our partners free to not have to do it. To say, or when we communicate and you say, this is how you could support me in caring for myself, I'm like, I'm here for it. Instead of them hitting and missing, trying to care for us and only fucking it up, you gave me tools to actually help you care for yourself. And I was able to support you and I hope honor you. Yeah. And respect you. It just felt so much better. Like, oh, I know what he needs and I'm able to provide it for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I got like bored at the restaurant, or they're kind of starting to pick up where I was like, it's time for me to go. And took a walk. I was like, babe, like I'm going to go to Barnes & Noble, fart around there. There's one 5 minutes away. Nice to meet you, friend. Then you texted me maybe 20, 30 minutes later saying, I'm all done. We're going to go to another restaurant, see one of your best friends. She runs the place, and I'll meet you there. And it was great. It was a 15-minute walk. We lovely drinks. We had a little bit more food. And then it was like time to get a car to go to the Broadway show. And I'd check in with you like, hey, what time's the car? 6:30. Great. Jump in the car. Yeah. And you're like, hey, I think it's going to be faster if we walk. Like we got to a certain point where traffic's, especially on Broadway, Times Square and stuff, it's like, it's going to be faster to walk. And I'm like, baby, you lead it. Like, you know this city more than I do. I don't need to be in control right now. You do your thing. I'll follow you. And then we got out of the car. And then we proceeded to run through the streets of Times Square and then Broadway. And it's one of my favorite moments I've ever had in my life with you, where we're slightly buzzed, literally sprinting through people, I'm doing little circles around, because I'm faster, more agile. And
I had a backpack on.
They don't need to know that. That's, honey, this is my story time.
It was weighted.
A weighted backpack? Tight, get some burpees in. So yeah, that was, and then we got to the show with like 2 minutes to spare. Curtains go up. The show's amazing. Oh, and fellas, let me speak to the guys real quick. You guys are ever going to a Broadway show? Figure out ones that are an hour and a half with no intermission. Holy shit, in and out. It was the best. And we got standing seats. I didn't even know that was a thing. Mm-hmm. Just stand on a rail, watch the show. It was the best. Mm-hmm. Get some stretches in if you want to. Mm-hmm. And then we went to a restaurant to meet our friend who's in the show. And then my energy was so high because this was like 9 o'clock at night too. Mm-hmm. And usually I'm grumpy fucking bitchy Trey at this point. But I was like, yeah, this is great. We got so taken care of. We got stuck in a corner.
Oh my gosh, best corner seats.
It was the best corner seats. It was like a high top bar. It was lowly lit. It was such a vibe in there. And then we got put in the corner, and the service was great. And then we stayed there for what, 3 or 4 hours?
Yeah, because we had other friends join us. Baby sister joined us. Yeah. It was like refreshing and soul filling.
Yeah, it was Elle joined us. Hello, Elle.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Walmart. Hi, Elle. And and then it was actually her birthday, which was wonderful. And then I asked, I was like, guys, is it okay if I just pick up the tab? Mm-hmm. Instead of slipping my card and everybody's kind of pissed off at me for paying for everything, I just asked if I could is it okay if I kind of pay for everything? This was so lovely. Mm-hmm. And
well, because this is what that does too, is it gives folks agency to negotiate themselves.
And say no. And also it's like, that makes me really uncomfortable. I'll Venmo you $50. I get that. Yeah.
And
I need to do that more often now.
They said, could I Venmo you? And you said you absolutely could. Mm-hmm. May I give it as a gift to you? Because both of the humans with us, baby sister and Elle, it was their birthdays, like literally. Yeah. But you got to negotiate that from a place of, right, what we do sometimes when we swoop in and cover something is we say, I'm more able than you. Mm-hmm. And I know it comes from a good place in your heart. Mm-hmm. I just do. But yeah, it's a way of, like uplifting the others, of saying.
It felt really good to ask if I could get the tab before actually doing it. Because the move that I always saw that I loved and admired in my 20s is when guys would do that. Mm. And then in my mind, I was like, I want to get to a place of success where I can do that without a problem. So that was always one of the signs of like, you're doing well, Trey. I always admired when I saw other men and women do that. And but this time I asked, and it felt even better than that.
Yeah. I think there'll still be times for that, right? Yeah. And we've been talking about the fact that service is your superpower, right? Perceiving what could make life better or simpler for someone or something is literally your greatest gift in the world. So the answer is not take all means of service and fixing
be
out
a cold dick. The answer is not to do the opposite and be a cold dick.
Right.
It's just to ask.
Mm-hmm. And have spaces that you've already been invited into to problem solve like that, right? Where it feels easy. Where, for instance, longtime viewers might remember this story where I was getting headaches after podcasting every single time. And my dear friend Jay, who's passed away, but who knew human design so well, was like, have you asked Trey why you're getting headaches? And I thought, like, that's a weird question to ask him. And so I started asking you at post-recording one day. I said, babe, why do I get headaches? Before I had even said headaches, you said that it was the position I was sitting in this chair and that I was like doing this weird thing with my neck or something. And you fixed it in one fell swoop. I've never had a headache post-podcasting ever again. Yeah. When you're invited in and can easily solve something, it is your magic sauce. I don't want to take away your superpower. It's not to castrate you. It's that you have the energy to use your superpowers when it's your turn to do so. Mm-hmm. Not that your battery is completely drained every day doing the things that you must do in order to be worthy of love. Fuck that.
Yeah, then I just turn into like a sacrifice guy. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that.
No. Anyway, it was just a great day, and I was kind of just blown away. And I've been blown away. And I guess maybe the reason we brought up physical touch in the beginning is we know that sometimes you don't want to touch me because it's another battery drain.
Yeah.
And we have not seen that on this trip.
Yeah.
maybe that's why it's fascinating to me. And I didn't even have that aha moment until literally just now.
Yeah, I've really welcomed your touch even when we got home. Like even going to
Yes.
sleep tonight after being on a train for, I don't know, what, 10 hours together, then being in an Uber and sleeping next to each other, even we're just wrapped in each
Wrapped around. I told you that on the train coming home, that usually you've slid to another side of the train because around DC it clears out. And you'll say, baby, I love you, just in space. You've never been unkind about it. But this time we were like literally intertwined, like touching and stroking and all these kind of fun stuff. And it's just sweet. It was lovely.
It sounds like we got it all figured out now.
Y'all, we are home free. Partnership Podcast has come to a conclusion. We are partnership masters.
And we're better than you.
Baby, do we want to tell the funny story? Because it just popped into my head. Sweeney Todd reference to anyone who knows the show. About the fun, scandalous thing we did on the train going up to New York.
So we fucked in one of the bathrooms.
Honey, I wanted there to be more of a lead up. But way to just tell the people.
Cut that? Yeah, okay. So we were... the courting process was so fun because we were touching each other all throughout the train ride. And this was about an hour and a half. And Lauren finally leaned in and she goes, do you want to have sex in the bathroom?
Well, back up. I always want to have sex in like semi-public places.
Yeah.
It's violating prohibition
kinks.
for me. It is one of my biggest fantasies. Even not, I don't need orgasm. It just feels really scandalous and like such a fun thing to do with your primary partner or your spouse because you don't have a lot of. So Jack Moran's erotic equation is attraction plus obstacle equals excitement. And once you're in a marriage or a long-term partnership, you don't have as many obstacles. I know what you're thinking about. You just don't have as many obstacles. So
True.
it is so fun to incorporate them into your sex life. When we've taken the train up before, there's a break in DC, and we've done a little touching, a little inappropriate stuff, undercoats and all that kind of stuff. But on plane rides before, I've said like, let's go to the bathroom together, and you're always like, no, baby, no, I don't want to go into the plane bathroom.
Yeah, they're really small, and there's 40 people watching you go to the bathroom. Anyway, so it's not like that in the train. So we stop in D.C., and then there's like a 30-minute break as they switch over from, I think, electric to gas or whatever the fuck.
Something.
And everybody clears out, and Lauren's like, it's time. And also, for an hour and a half, we've been building up and touching, and like
arousal has been
rising and rising. And she goes, okay, I'm going. And then I count to 20 in my mind, and I'm like, oh, fuck, and I'm counting. And then I get to 18. I'm like, I got to go. I couldn't even wait the other 2 seconds. So I walk in. We both sneak into the bathroom. We do some touching. We do some kissing. Lauren brings her vibrator, which is, guys, it's me. Your lady needs to nut fast, vibrator. So we're in the bathroom. And
with a vibrator.
And it's hot. And it's erotic. And then the train starts to board the people from DC. And they shut off the power, so the little lights that say, hey, this bathroom's occupied, it doesn't exist. So people start jiggling the doors because they need to use the restroom. Granted, there are 2 restrooms, and it's not like the only 2 on the train. There's one in every cart. So... So my arousal just goes to fear because there's people just shuffling by, and then I can pick up on the energy of these stressed out people with these giant suitcases. Just like, where do we get? I can feel the stressful energy of the people on the other side. And then, so like I can't maintain a boner for anything. God bless my sweet and wonderful wife, where she just handles business real quick. So there's one orgasm, down the drain.
We should talk about the logistics of this, because
having sex in a bathroom.
Yeah, let's get a little graphic.
Go.
If you have children listening to this episode,
what the fuck? What are you doing?
Put your AirPods in.
It's like, hey kids, listen. No children should listen to this. That's gross.
No, it is not age appropriate. So yes, I brought my vibrator, and I brought it into the bathroom because prioritizing, we had this conversation before. We said, are we prioritizing my orgasm or are we prioritizing fun? Remember this?
Yeah.
And you were like, your orgasm. And I was like, okay. Because a sexually satisfying experience does not need to include orgasm. We could have gone and fooled around in that bathroom and then had great sex at the hotel being like, remember when we fooled around in that bathroom? In a subsequent bathroom in New York City, we fooled around and nobody came. It was still very fun.
Yeah.
Let's just be very clear.
True.
Okay?
A lot of bathroom sex this time.
You know, listen, it's New York. So I brought my vibrator. I knew as a person in my body that yes, there's such a fine line between anxiety and fear and anxiety and arousal. It can be highly arousing to be violating prohibitions. And then there's a fine tipping point. If you want the research on that, let me know. But there's a fine tipping point when the dad's yelling at the kids and the kids are like, Dad, where do I go? So I knew that I could only increase the anxiety so much in my body. So I told you, babe, I want to stay basically dressed. I want you to like stick your hand down my pants type of stuff. And I want to do that.
Yeah.
But you can pull down my top and touch my tits and stuff like that. But I don't want to be naked.
Great.
Because the fear in
it's also
that,
a bathroom. It's also an Amtrak bathroom
it's
too.
It's
gross.
Dirty Amtrak bathroom. But B, if someone did get the door open and rattled it, and somehow opened it, I didn't want to be naked. That felt not good in my body. So I was able to use my vibrator through my clothes and under my clothes and use stimulation of the places on my clitoris that I know are like highly stimulatable. That's not the right word. And I think your hands weren't even on my body when I orgasmed.
I was sucking on a titty.
Yeah, listen. Do feel comfortable using your voice in a thing like this instead of just letting it happen to you. It's so much more enjoyable when you were, as Trey often says, chasing your pleasure as opposed to just being like, oh, maybe this will be hot. No. So I like got some vision in my head of like, yeah, what if Trey had taken like some other woman to the bathroom and it got even kinkier than the kinky. We were already doing the kinky. And what if they had to get back in a certain amount of time? It was great. I had a beautiful orgasm, which felt like delicious and also illicit and great. And then also with only a little bit of clothing, I was able to, did I turn around and bend over onto the sink? Yeah. This is highly illicit, y'all. I'm sorry you're getting all this information.
Yeah.
But I knew that there would probably be a position that Trey could feel most like secure and like stable in, and that's most erotic to him in the middle of a bathroom.
Yeah.
That he knew I would feel safe and planted and all these types of things. And I chose that position.
So what's the erotic mind is what? Stress and what'd you say? Stress and stimulation and eroticy and fantasism?
Okay, so the erotic equation is attraction plus obstacle equals excitement.
What's the other one where it goes from like stress to fear to eroticism?
Anxiety can be highly arousing or it can tip into fear and then it like completely.
This is where my mind was. It was the anxiety and fear thing, but then it's like, I want to come. That was the other thing. And then I got a whiff of the ammonia of the toilet, the blue watered toilet. And it's like, you could stop now. This is totally fine. Or we could try to come. And then I did. And there was no thoughts in my mind other than like, you better hurry up. This is your only opportunity.
You will
Which
never.
it wasn't. It wasn't.
No.
That was the pressure I was putting on myself. But yeah, I mean, it's novelty. It's a fun novelty to have sex. And should we bleep out Amtrak? Whatever, they're part of it now.
I am sure other people have had sex.
We're going to get a fucking letter. And the bad boys, the bad women and men of podcasting. So, then we cleaned up. You know, I washed off the shame. We got the fuck out of there. And then then we negotiated. This is the negotiating part of like, how do we get out of this bathroom?
Now that so many more people are on this train now too.
It had calmed. This is the lull of, the rush of people coming. So there was a lull outside. And I'm like, all right, babe, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out and then you're going to come out. Then you can close the door behind me and lock it if you want to. And then I'm going to leave. And then, so I leave the bathroom. And it's sure enough, as soon as I leave the bathroom, I make contact with an elderly gentleman. We look each other in the eyes, and immediately my mind goes, he knows what we were doing in there. He wasn't there before. He had no fucking clue, nor did he care. But that's where my mind went. And yeah, I went and sat back down. What was your experience like leaving the bathroom?
Yeah, I'm washing my hands in there and I'm thinking, yeah, like, how many beats do you give it? It had definitely quieted down. The train had turned back on. Yeah, and so I decided in my mind, I was like, oh, I'll feel confident if I make up a whole story. So my whole story was that I made up was I was feeling unwell and I had asked you to come to the bathroom with me to like stroke my back while I vomited in the toilet. And so you had just
Which is
been
half,
there
it's
as
half true.
an emotional
It's half true.
support person.
Correct.
Yeah.
I was stroking your back.
So many jokes. I hope other people said it out loud because they say they talk to our podcast out loud. I hope they did. So anyway, I made up a story in my head of like all the other reasons you could have been in the bathroom with me. All the 2, 3 reasons.
Yeah.
So I felt confident. I was like, oh, it could be anything. And then I unlocked the door, left, and made eye contact with the exact same gentleman who kind of just smiled at me.
Did he actually smile at you?
In my mind, he did. I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
But eye contact.
Got it.
Contact.
Yeah.
I've been telling Trey he doesn't wear a wedding band, which is totally fine.
It's totally fine. She's been giving me shit for it lately, though.
I've been like, then people would be like, ooh, look at that cute couple having hot sex. But instead, it just looks like I'm constantly having an affair with him, which is fine.
Tight.
It's also fine. Sex positivity here.
Which is tight.
Yeah.
Especially for me.
Well, yeah. Affairs are just cheating and breaking a
Constantly
trust and
trying to
blah,
fuck
blah,
somebody
blah.
else's
I'm not
wife.
about breaking ethical. Anyway, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It really was. Teaching upstate was a lot of fun once we got up there the next day, celebrating my baby sister's birthday.
Yeah, which you'll never get an opportunity to get after they listen to this fucking thing.
What?
The teaching upstate. It's done.
They love it.
They have sex on a train. This is done.
Shout out to my friends. No, I think it was all in all a really good trip. And total honesty, a week or so ago, I had been like, what are we going to do on this trip? Because we were so separate.
Yes. Yeah.
That as I was thinking about it, I was just like, I don't know, kind of dreading it. Like, oh God, I'm going to have to go on this trip. We're going to be in this bad place still. I was looking forward to it. So the whole thing felt like a gift. You had found a beautiful hotel room near my sister that had a bathtub in it. So we were able to kind of like take Epsom salt baths every day, kind of like recalibrate our energy. It was just beautiful. Saw wonderful friends, celebrated my sister again, biggest priority of the weekend. It was just lovely.
Be accountable, people, after you fuck up. And that's how you can come back together fast. Yeah. Have patience, practice patience, but it will happen more quickly if you're really accountable and then self-effacing or self-affronting. If you own your shit.
Yeah. Okay, a little further out, what do you think are some of the biggest lessons, takeaways from the trip, all of the work we've done over the past, like what are some things that are rising to the top of like, wow, this was ours to learn about at a year into marriage?
We're practicing what we installed. One of the big things that you've had in your past relationship is like after these blow-ups, you guys said you would do all these things and then nothing got done.
Yeah.
We're practicing what we've installed to practice. So we're doing the work essentially. We're not just talking about it and then hoping for the best. We're doing the fucking work.
Yeah.
And granted, it's not alcoholism. It's not drug abuse. It's not violence. It's not cheating. It's not finance.
Yeah.
But fuck, it was a problem. So we're solving it. And the rent is due every day. And then I'm really invested in fixing my shit. And there it is. And then selfishly, I get to live a better life that way. And I get to have a happier partner and I get to be happier. And then, my people are happier if I'm happier because I can be a bit of a motherfucker. then I get laid more. And that's really what it's about at the end of the day. Just trying to get back inside you.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned some of these like big things, right? Like it's not one of these big things.
It was a big thing, though.
And something that our
if
coach
it was relationship threatening, it's a big thing.
Something our coach mentioned last week was that so often the big things, right, using substances to escape our lives, okay, usually starts with having lives that we want to escape, which usually starts with having partnerships that are stressful to be in. Mm-hmm. Okay, so things like cheating, things like substance abuse, things like usually come from these unaddressed things.
Or lives that are stressful to be in.
Of course, and trauma and undealt with total abuse. Right, like, thank you, yes. And I just think that so often, my clients know I say this, we wait for the shoe to drop, we wait for the break that is unrepairable. Mm-hmm. Instead of working to repair ourselves, our partnerships, with the little things, right? To recalibrate, to learn, to get curious about, ooh, this is bad. What work do you need to do? Do I need to do? Do we need to do to strengthen this? Is it worth it? Are we able to, right? And that's why we so openly said, is this the beginning of the end? Not as a threat, as a, no, this is not something that one of us in these situations is willing to work on. The other person needs to go. Mm-hmm. They need to go. And we were talking about this with Elle and with the sister that, our conversations surrounding the blow up did not get threatening. They got very real and honest and grounded.
Yeah. And Elle asked that, where she goes, how do I do it in a place of like health and non-manipulation? How do I say, hey, this is what I really need and I'm not getting it? Yeah. But how do I do it without being threatening or manipulative or making someone else feel defensive? Mm-hmm. And that's a great fucking question. And you need a nuance and you need a strategy. Mm-hmm. And you need some tools and you need to ask questions.
Shout out to this sex education company that, I own. sexedforyou.com/free consult. I'd love to work with you on those things. That wasn't the time?
That was pretty good.
No, but I love that you brought that up, that so often we will wait for these horrible things. We'll be like, well, it's not that bad. Whoa, hold up. What if partnership is a tool for healing and allows us to see the areas of which we had not healed yet, and then we get to work?
My mentor said it best. Guys won't have time for counseling. They will have plenty of time for a divorce attorney.
A twinning.
Cut it out.
I love when we misspeak, when we think we're going to say something really smart.
Oh, I totally did that in my mind where I was like, be impactful here.
So I do it all the time and then I mess it up. I think it's so good. It's so good that we're just real.
Hit this one home. Make them feel it. It's like, you're dumb. You're fucking stupid.
We're just saying things. Yeah. They're just words.
Dude, you're going to hit a vape pen in like 10 minutes.
But does my point make sense, though, that thank you for bringing in the trauma-informed approach, right? So many of us come to partnership with wounds. And I say all the time that partnership could heal us. It could provide literally a container for healing, where
if you get the right person,
we are able to look at so many beautiful things. Mm-hmm. Or we could be like, well, it's not that bad. And we just wait until our trust is truly broken in a much, not even much more, in a different way, such as cheating, like lying, manipulation, all these types of things. Mm-hmm. So shout out, my love, to the work that we've done. It's been great. I'm ready to go on our little anniversary trip and relax and play and not have the loud noises of the city. Yeah. My observation on that of why this felt louder this time than ever before is that your body and your heart and your mind are open. And so it was very penetrating into those areas. And it's just really okay if it's not your space. It's not a lot of people's space because of the same thing. They are empathic. You're empathic. You've learned this about yourself. And it's just okay if it's too loud and too noisy. And we'll find ways for me to get that. I'm energized by that type of thing.
Good.
Yeah.
And I'm energized by like a big city too.
In small quantities.
In small quantities, or like if there's an ocean there that I can like look at. Anyway,
love you. Great trip. We did tell Elle that we would have an episode at some point soon where we talked about this literally in like episode 3, but like relationship dynamics and flirting and how we.
Fuck yeah. I want to talk about that next.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that next, everybody, because it's something that we do. And that's one of the reasons that traveling together is so invigorating for us, because our relationship agreement and how we are allowed to play and interact in the energies of other people, still choosing partnership and coming back together.
I want to talk about that like within our monogamous structure of relationship, you know, how we get our flirt on with other people.
Yeah. So teaser for the next episode that's coming up. Hey, thanks for staying all the way to the end. I'm always fascinated by who stays to the end. So y'all are awesome. If you want to know more about all of the stuff that Trey and I have been working through, sexedforyou.com/free consult. Reminder that these are opinions. These are lived experiences that are ours. Trey kept saying at this time, this should be nuanced. This gets to be nuanced. Our lives are not your lives. You have a right to informed decision making. You have a right to disagree with us. Please do form your own opinions. I think that's all. We are going to be on our anniversary trip next week, so we will have a bye week, but we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.